37 points in the first half. That's what the Timberwolves just did to the Orlando Magic, who would trail by 30 at halftime and lose by 21 to the Timberwolves in Orlando. And this Magic team is actually very good this year. They're currently in the 8th seed, although they're a half game out of the 4 seed, which is hilarious. Eastern Conference also with mega crunch this season. And they have a huge list of injuries with about 5 or 6 rotation players out of it right now, headlined by Franz Wagner. But they're still a team that seems to always plague the Timberwolves in previous seasons, even when they were terrible. And Mo Wagner is one of those players that always gets plus 15 to every single one of his attributes whenever he plays the Timberwolves, which would also be the case. And I gotta say, if I have a crush, a little side piece right now outside of the Timberwolves, it's the Orlando Magic. I've been watching them as they've had all these injuries, and they are exhilarating to watch. They play so hard on defense, especially. Love watching Jalen Suggs, former Minnesota basketball and football player of the year, and he has been just playing so well this season. Defense is insane, effort insane, jump shooting much improved. And so this is a serious Magic team. And they just had 2 pretty big wins against the Hawks at home, Nuggets on the road, and then also had a really tough game against the Kings. So they've been playing well, even though they're missing all these players. And the Timberwolves just come around, smack them around, really relying on their defense, which was spectacular, as I kind of led with. Got to give props to Jaden McDaniels, who played a great game on Paolo Banchero. Offense was also better in this one, too. But the defense was really where it started. And I feel a little bit bad for Bonk because he had to go up against Jaden and then Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who wouldn't have a great game but was there defensively. And for those being the 2 people that your star has to go up against on the wing each night, it's got to get exhausting, especially with how much we were really stifling the paint and all the help that we were showing. It's just tough for Banchero to get any openings, and he would have a horrendous shooting start to the game, although he'd be a little bit better in the second half. But the Wolves really shut him down and weren't really allowing much of anything. Magic also missed some open threes in the first half, but those were kind of ones that were game planned in by the Timberwolves defense. They made more in the second half, and the Timberwolves were a little less quick to rotate. But overall, defense was really solid all night. The big men really stepped up in this game, too. Gobert was just insanely good all game. He had 15 points and 10 rebounds at halftime. And if you're tracking that across the game, he's averaging 30 and 20. Not exactly the box score that he got in this one. We still played our starters a good amount of time despite having the hefty lead in a lot of this one, which I was a little shocked to see because we do have a back-to-back. We're playing tomorrow in Boston, which is an extremely long flight, and I'm just thinking of the 3-hour flight that I took from Minnesota to southern Florida recently as I've been trying to heal up and be able to play basketball. And I'm like, ooh, if you have an ailing body, those 3-hour flights are tough. And that's what the Timberwolves have. So you would have liked for the starters to play a few less minutes than they did, but oh well, I'm happy with the win anyway. And they had a little lighter load, especially Anthony Edwards, who only plays 26 minutes, I think, in this one. And he was the least impactful scorer in this game, just with 6 points, really. But Karl Anthony Towns seriously stepped up in this game. 5 of 5 on threes. You really would like him to have a couple more attempts than that. And I feel like I have that feeling every game just about with Cat. This isn't a gripe with him. I think it's more with how we should use him. I love when we get him transition looks when he's trailing the play. Because when he's top of the key, he's got so many options. And he had 3 or 2 where he scored doing that. And I really wish we would look for that more. Also, maybe involve him running off some screens every now and then. Maybe energy levels get dampen a little bit of that, but I'd like to see that alternatively instead of the ISOs take advantage of his jump shooting a little bit more. But Cat was overall magnificent in this game. A little loose with his body on some drives, but really, really great. And Gobert, we were a lot more attentive of getting the ball when he had matchups, or mismatches rather, and his post footwork actually is pretty good, and some of his post moves are solid. It's just the touch is absent. Like, if the post move doesn't lead to his hand over the cylinder of the rim, I'm not confident it's going in. But he's actually got some decent moves which have been on a little bit more display lately. Also, I thought that our point guards did especially well distributing the ball in this one. Mike Conley, 10 assists. It says 1 turnover. I actually thought that was one that went through Cat's hands. Should have been attributed to him, so I thought Conley should have 0. But hey, he's still taking control of the ball and was just brilliant in his style of play, getting people involved. Also want to say J-Mac was the other person I was referring to for point guard play. We saw the, nonchalant back cut where he's like, oh, I'm just cutting through the lane, and oh, I got the ball layup. We haven't seen that since D'Lo was on the team. D'Lo is usually the one making that pass, as J-Mac would just flash a look right as he gets to the block and make a layup. And Kyle Anderson was the one who delivered the ball to him. We've also been seeing some J-Mac Conley minutes together on the court, so maybe we'll see that point guard to point guard pass on these cuts. But it's been a long time since I've seen that back cut and layup, and it made me feel whole seeing that again. Another solid J-Mac game, and I feel like when we decided to put him in was smart as well, as usually when we were having turnover issues, which was the main blemish on this game, as we would have 18 turnovers, which is a lot, 23 points off of those turnovers, which is a lot, especially when they only had 92 for the game, and that is the worst thing that you can do when you have a great defense, is make it so that they just can't even get set. So that's why the turnovers are something I bring up every single video, and why they tilt me is because we can't take advantage of our best asset, of our number 1 rated defense, because we just give the ball right there, no opportunity to score, and then we can't set, and they get easy buckets. So that's why I'm always bitching and moaning about the turnover problems, which was mostly Anthony Edwards today. Also, Naz Reid with 3 turnovers, 3 fouls. His discipline was not good in this one. Also picked up a technical, although he would score well too, and gets a double-double. Yeah, it's just something we have to monitor, and what seems to be the biggest weakness of the team. So want that to halt. Also, Karl Anthony Towns and Mike Conley had some pick-and-roll action in this one that Cat got several buckets out of. It's almost always Gobert-Conley pick-and-rolls, so I'd like to see him doing that with Cat a little bit more. He's never been a great pick-and-roll partner, it feels like. Even when D'Lo is on the team, and D'Lo is great in pick-and-roll, even with Anthony Edwards, it just doesn't seem like that's the dynamic that really works, but I'd like to see if it could. Maybe a little bit more Conley, Cat, pick-and-roll. I'm intrigued. Overall, that's a great game. I was hoping to get at least one win in this back-to-back setting where we play in Orlando, then in Boston. Celtics are still unbeaten at home, so it's going to be a challenge playing them on the second night of a back-to-back. And so it's going to be interesting seeing that game tomorrow. Hopefully we still have legs. If we come out like we did tonight, I feel a lot better about our chances, but it's going to be a tough one. Happy we got this one. Then we're playing Portland at home, and we finally kind of finish up this really tough stretch of the season we've been on that we've gotten through pretty well. All right, that's it. See you tomorrow. Peace out.